immediately calling Dr. Kim's number. "Hello doctor? It's an emergency. My husband isn't waking up." Seok Jin sighed while checking the fainted man's nerves and observing other things. Tae Hyung was standing on the other side of the bed, his forehead sweating nervously as he stared at his husband who had fainted. Seems like he had a panic attack. Blood pressure was abnormally high a few minutes ago. With all the tears, it says a lot. Seok Jin spoke as he injected something into Jungkook's arm. "Tae Hyung, you need to take care of him well. People require extra care in this situation. It can get really critical if not taken care of," he added while rubbing the cotton pad in place of the injected spot. "What condition?" Tae Hyung asked with furrowed brows, and Jin looked at him in shock. "You don't know that he's pregnant?" he asked, and Tae Hyung's eyes went wide as saucers along with Jin's. "What? He's pregnant?" Tae Hyung looked at Jungkook, his eyes still closed with our child. He stuttered as tears gathered in his orbs. Jin facepalmed himself. "Of course, you idiot!" Jin scoffed, "and he's suffering from as well. So need to take extra care of him or you'll end up losing both of them," he added. Tae Hyung fell on the bed, gripping the sheets in his fist, grasping the information. "Jungkook is pregnant." Tae Hyung spoke out loud, although it was supposed to be a thought. "Major depressive disorder," Jin replied, calming as he stood from Jungkook's side and went to sit beside Tae Hyung, who seemed to be on the verge of crying. "It's really serious mental health condition, usually due to the person suffering a series of traumatic events or constant stress. He needs his husband to take care of him," Jin emphasized as he patted the younger's back. "He's suffering from clinical depression, and that condition is not good for someone who is pregnant," he added as Tae Hyung sobbed. "Hyung," he sobbed again. "I'm going to be a father," he whispered deeply, feeling his heart swell in happiness. Jin smiled. "Yes, you Dumbo," he spoke. Tae Hyung dropped Dr. Kim to the door before running back to his room, and sitting beside Jungkook, caressing his head as he placed his other palm on his clothed stomach. Tae Hyung smiled. "Mom, please, I'm sorry Jungkook, but this is the best for you. Mom, please don't leave me with Dad. Please Mom, I'll be a good boy. Mom, please Mom." The woman left with the blonde man, who was supposedly her boyfriend after she divorced Jian Jung. The small 9-year-old boy was left alone. He looked to his side, his father's piercing gaze on him as he gritted his teeth. "She left because of you," the man yelled as he gripped his son's wrist painfully tight and twisted it. "No, Appa, it hurts. Please, shut up. You are the biggest mistake of my life." He yanked the boy to the floor as the little boy cried more, getting his knees hurt. "I'm sorry, Appa. I'm sorry," the boy chanted sorry like a broken record as he hugged himself, shivering on the cold floor. The boy cried more and more. Life was a war to fight every day. With an abusive father and a stepmom who wasn't fond of him at all. Jungkook's life was living hell. "Oh my God. Jungkook, come here," the woman yelled in her high-pitched voice, making Jungkook jolt up from his bed, wiping his cheeks hurriedly as he ran downstairs to his stepmom. "Yes, Mom," he spoke timidly, seeing the woman fuming in anger, the cup of coffee in her hand as she stormed toward the shaking boy, and splashed the coffee on his face. Jungkook squeaked, his voice getting stuck in his throat at the painful burn caused by the hot coffee. He hurriedly wiped it away from his skin, feeling the burns too much. Jungkook trembled as his skin burned more, when his mom stepped forward and slapped him. His father, sitting on the couch, ignoring the two. Jungkook fell to the floor, crying silently. He knew what was coming, and it did come. He gasped, sucking in sharp breath with every hit on his body with a stick. The woman yelled while hitting her stepson. Jungkook shivered, whimpered but took it all without protest. He was used to such treatment by now. "I'm sorry mom, not do it next time please," he begged to the woman who gritted her teeth. "I don't know why you're still living in my house. Should have thrown you out long ago." She spat and threw the stick away. "Get thee out of my sight," she ordered, and Jungkook complied, holding his hand in other and limping to the kitchen to clean the mess the Cell's coffee had created. Jung-hyun did not even bother to give a glance to his son or wife. Here Jung-hyun handed a plastic bag to Jungkook, who looked up at his father with a smile. His father bought something for him after years. He felt happy. "Thank you, Appa," he said as he opened the bag. A black and white tuxedo bunny smile made its way to his face as he looked at the outfit thoroughly. "Is there any occasion?" the boy asked. "Yes," Jung-hyun replied as he saw his wife entering the room. "You're getting married," she spoke venomously, and Jungkook's smile faltered. He looked at his father with shock. "What?" he whispered, not being able to speak out loud. "You're getting married tomorrow and we are not taking no for as an answer. It's important for my company," Jung-hyun emphasized. "But Appa, I'm just 20, Jungkook spoke, controlling his tears that threatened to fall. "You're turning 21 soon. Also, what are you even useful for?" His stepmom spoke up this time. Jungkook, for the first time in years, glared at her. She was taken aback. "I'm not marrying anyone. I still have a life of my own." His cheek flushed red and a handprint shaped on it as he fell to the side. He looked above to see his father angrily looking at him. "Like your mom said, we don't take no as an answer," Jung-hyun yelled as he kicked Jungkook's thighs. The poor boy yelped, retreating backward on the floor, away from his father. "I don't want to marry, please," he pleaded. "Why? Do you also want to become a whore like your mother was?" his mom gritted. "No, either you are marrying tomorrow or I'm throwing you on the streets. Choice is yours," Jung-hyun announced, bending down and pulling Jungkook by his hair, a harsh slap landing on his cheek. "I don't want to marry." With the Jung-hyun's limits broken, he started beating the shit out of the crying and whimpering boy. Him in stomach, tapping his pale cheeks until the boy's confidence broke down completely and he submitted to their will. He was left alone to cry out the night, because he had to marry an unknown man the next day. Jungkook writhed with his eyes closed, air being knocked out of his lungs as he opened his mouth to breath. The boy cried in his sleep, mumbling words like "please" and "I'm sorry." Tae-hyung got up from his sleep seeing his husband grasping for air and mumbling in sleep. He held the boy close to himself, trying to wake him by rubbing his forehead and shaking him a little. After continuous trying, Jungkook woke up with a gasp, his eyes spilling tears as he sobbed. Still not out of his "nobody wants me," he yelped. "I'm sorry," he pleaded, crying as Tae-hyung shook him out of his daze, hugging his figure tightly. "Baby, look, I'm here," Tae-hyung softly whispered while pulling Jungkook on his lap. The young one unconsciously leaned into the touch, snuggling closer to his husband. Jungkook finally woke up, his breathing calmed down, though eyes shedding tears, his arms wrapped around Tae-hyung for dear life as he shivered. "Hyung," Jungkook sobbed, and Tae-hyung replied by running soothing circles on his back. "Will you leave me as well?" Tae-hyung's heart pained hearing the painful voice, but he composed himself. He had to be strong, for Jungkook and the baby. "No, doll, I would never leave you," he said as he retreated back a little to cup his husband's plush red cheeks. Jungkook's breath even hearing that. He hugged Tae-hyung again, resting his head on his shoulder as he pouted, rubbing his red eyes. Jungkook stayed like that for what felt like hours, closest to Tae-hyung, not wanting to let go. Taehyung was continuously rubbing his back to soothe him. Dr. Kim had warned him already. He didn't want any threat towards any of the two. Jungkook needs love, care and attention, and Taehyung will give him all. Jungkook whined with pouty lips as he retreated back from the hug, his gaze down, as he bit his lips in nervousness, looking elsewhere. "My precious doll," he said as he held his chin softly, bobbing his nose with his own, which made Younger smile. He made Jungkook sit on the bed as he got off the bed, standing on the floor, as he went on his knees in front of Jungkook. Jungkook's eyes widened, but he stayed still, too shocked to contemplate the situation. Taehyung grabbed his husband's feet softly, placing his head on them as he mumbled, "I'm sorry, baby. I didn't mean to yell at you. It's just that I don't want to lose you, and that Pogum was getting on my nerves way too much." He spoke with a pout as he heard the Younger giggle. He looked up to see a beautiful smile. "Why do you always drop on my feet, Hyung?" Jungkook questioned as he opened his arms for Taehyung. Taehyung pouted as he embraced Jungkook, tightly hugging him, snuggling into his neck. "Why can't I? You're my husband. I would even worship you happily," he spoke while kissing his temple. Jungkook smiled again, patting his husband's back while threading his fingers into his hair soothingly. Am's voice came out muffled against the Younger's neck, who chuckled. "It's okay, Hyung," he replied. But then something popped in Taehyung's mind, and his eyes perked up. He retreated to face his husband, who frowned. Taehyung bit his lips while fiddling his fingers. "I want to inform you something," he stammered. "What is it?" Jungkook asked curiously. He leaned forward, grabbing Jungkook's hand softly, and placing it on the Younger's stomach, and then looked into his eyes. "You're pregnant," he informed, eyes dripping happiness and affection. Jungkook's eyes went wide for a moment. He stayed quiet and still, basking in the information as the corners of his lips twitched. Tears reached his eyes as he smiled widely, placing both hands on his stomach. "I'm pregnant," he sobbed in happiness. Taehyung grinned to his boxy smile as he hugged Jungkook, letting him bury his face in his chest. "Yes. Dr. Kim told me yesterday when he checked you. We are gonna be parents soon," he spoke as Jungkook sobbed more, hugging his husband tightly. He felt so happy after a long time that he couldn't stop his tears. His heart swelled happily. "I'm so happy, Hyung," he whispered. "Me too, doll," the elder replied. They both stayed in that way for a few minutes, celebrating their happy moment in each other's embrace.